Let's take a minute and discuss some basic typography anatomy and terms. The basic typographic element is called a character, which is any individual letter, numeral, or punctuation mark. The capital letters are called caps or uppercase characters. Some letters are called lowercase characters. Numbers are called numerals or figures. Ligatures are characters paired which have been redesigned as optional single characters. Typographic characters have basic component parts. The easiest way to differentiate characteristics of type designs is by comparing the structure of these components. First of all, there's the ascender. An ascender is the lowercase character stroke which extends above the X height. Then there's the bar, the horizontal stroke on the characters A, H, T, lowercase e, lowercase f, and lowercase t. A baseline is an imaginary horizontal line to which the body or main component of characters are aligned. The curved stroke which surrounds a counter is called a bowl. And of course, a counter is the empty space inside the body stroke. The descender is the lowercase character stroke which extends below the baseline. From the French meaning without serif, a sans serif is a typeface which has no serifs. Sans serif typefaces are typically uniform in stroke width. A serif has tapered corners on the ends of the main stroke. Serifs originated with the chiseled guides made by ancient stonecutters as they lettered monuments. Some serif designs may also be traced back to characteristics of hand calligraphy. Note that serif type is typically thick and thin in stroke weight. The end of a stroke which does not terminate in a serif is called a terminal. The X height is the height of the body minus ascenders and descenders, which is equal to the height of a lowercase x. Leading is the space between lines. We can achieve leading far less easily by using the control panel. And we can nudge the leading up or down. We can choose the value from the leading scale, or with the type selected, we can just use these quick keyboard shortcuts. Option or Alt and the down arrow to increase the leading. Option or Alt and the up arrow to decrease or tighten the leading. Now, how much leading is the right amount? As a general rule of thumb, for continuous reading text, we want +1 to +3 of our point size. That's a general, very broad rule of thumb for working in print. But here's a consideration. What is the X height of the typeface that you are using? Some typefaces have X heights that are relatively high and some less so. An example of a typeface with a relatively high X height is Helvetica. And because of that, Helvetica and other fonts with a high X height will require a bit more leading. With this text here, we have Calibri 12-point on 12-point leading. If we were to use the same leading value with the Helvetica, it's going to look too tight, and that's going to diminish the readability. The descenders are going to start to get very close to the ascenders of the lines that follow. Let's set up a few preferences to control our leading. The first is a preference that applies the leading value to the entire paragraph. And the rationale for this is so that you don't end up with inconsistent leading values within a paragraph. So currently the preference is turned off. And if I select a line of type in this paragraph and then increase the leading value, you can see that now I have inconsistent leading within that paragraph. Now I'm going to undo that. I will just select the whole paragraph and return to that 12-point leading, and now come to my preferences, type. Here's the preference that we're referring to. Apply leading to entire paragraphs. Now I'll do essentially the same thing, and you'll see that the leading value now applies to the entire paragraph. The second preference I'd like to set is in units and increments. Let's jump to the preferences, Command K or Control K. Let's go to units and increments, and it's this one right here. Let's change that to 1 point, which is my preferred amount. So now when I select a paragraph and I use the keyboard shortcut Option or Alt down arrow to loosen the leading, and Option or Alt up to tighten the leading, we're going in 1 point increments.